What up, Econ Squad? Today, right now, you are sitting in Mr. Urkowski's AP Econ class and you are going over 3.3, Economies of Scale and Long Run Costs. Today, I'm going to take you through a little quick lesson in 5 to 6 minutes. We're first going to be covering what economies of scale are, what long run costs are, what short run costs are, and how these costs differ. Let's get right into it. So, what is the short run, you may be asking? And how is it different from the long run? Well, in the short run, only variable costs are able to be changed. In the short run, inputs, at least one of them, if not more, are all fixed, meaning that you can't change them to a certain degree. And finally, the capacity or facility that products are being produced in cannot be changed, expanded, or made smaller. What is the long run? And why is it different from the short run? Well, in the long run, as opposed to the short run, all costs are variable and can be changed. All inputs are also variable and they are not fixed, which means that they don't have to stay the same, and different sizes and different quantities can be changed. Finally, facility and the capacity in which goods are produced is also able to be changed, unlike in the short run. You are able to expand or make your facility smaller based on how much you need to produce. Now for the important part, economies of scale. So, if we're going to talk about economies of scale, we first have to understand what we're looking at along the graph. Along the x-axis is going to be our quantity, or output of product, and along the y-axis, we're going to have average cost of production. Now, when we talk about, quote, cost of production, we are always referring to the long-run average total cost. Economies of scale is a broad term that describes how the cost of production is affected when output increases. In the section, which is actual, quote, economies of scale, you see a downward sloping graph, where as output increases, price of production is going to decrease. You then reach a plateau point, where as output increases, the price of production stays exactly the same. This is called constant returns to scale. Then, at the last point on the graph, you will see it begin to slope back up. This means that as output increases, the cost of production is also increasing. This is diseconomies of scale. Welcome. So, the reason why economies of scale is always based off of long-run average total cost is because, like I said before, the long run allows all costs and prices to change and be variable. It wouldn't work in the short run because costs are fixed and not everything can be changed. This is why whenever we talk about economies of scale, it's always based on long-run average total cost. With this graph here, you see economies of scale. What that means is that the downward sloping graph represents output increasing along the x-axis as the cost of production decreases along the y-axis. Towards the bottom of the graph, you see this straight line where the graph begins to plateau. What this shows you is that as output increases, the cost of production stays exactly the same. There's no change. This is called constant returns to scale. So, now we're going to show you a graph of diseconomies of scale. As the last section of the main graph of economies of scale, the diseconomies of scale section, you'll see an upward sloping graph where output increases and the average long-run total cost is also going to increase, showing that price per unit is going back up. So, this is a difficult concept to grasp immediately. Some examples might be helpful. Imagine that we are currently producing an output of 2, and our average total cost in the long run is $100. If we increase our output to 5 and our average total cost drops to 80, we are experiencing economies of scale. If, on the other hand, we are at an output of 10 at a cost of 10, and we increase our output to 15 and the cost stays exactly the same, this is an example of constant returns to scale. Past this point, if we increase from 15 to 20 and our average total cost for the long run starts to increase again, this is an example of diseconomies of scale. Any good lesson has a few multiple choice questions to test you and see if you really know what you've just been taught. First question, on this graph, at what point do we see economies of scale? If you chose A, you are correct. Next question, what is it called when average total cost increases as output increases? I'll wait. Thank you for watching my video. I hope this presentation on 3.3 economies of scale and long run costs was informational and exciting for all of you. Make sure you do well in Mr. Rakowski's class, get to class on time, and be quiet when the bell rings. Have a nice day.